Oh, look, motherhood is such an interesting journey. I was never planning to have kids. I was going to have horses. And then when you got to a point, you just, you know, no, would have definitely hurt.
She jumped that hurdle, didn't she?
I'm Ange.
And I'm Beck.
And we are the Gold Diggers, because we believe there's gold found in everyone.
Everyone is unique, interesting and exciting with a great story to share.
And we aim to find it.
The question is, can we rise to the challenge and strike gold?
I need your my sugar.
How good was it to have today's guest, Tomarra Maund, in the studio with us, who is the very person that's responsible for the epic 21st birthday party that we talked about in our Shaken and Stirred episode.
It was such a pleasure to have her, and she's such a bundle of positive energy. She's just so joyful and just excited about everything.
Yeah, she approaches every part of her life, even the challenging parts. And there's been some real challenges that she's had to face and overcome. But she's faced it all with positivity. And her work ethic is incredible, which has made her a high achiever. So I think this is such an interesting podcast. Stay with us.
I need your my sugar.
So this is how it works. One of us knows our mystery guest and the other doesn't. And today, Beck's in the hot seat.
Yes, I am.
And you're going to be interviewing our special guest, Tomarra Maund.
Excellent. I'm looking forward to this.
Well, Tomarra, okay, I'm going to just give you 3 fun facts about her. First of all, she is a little pocket rocket, right?
Yeah.
And she was the event organiser at my son's 21st birthday party.
Right.
So if you were with us for the Shaken and Stirred episode, you will have heard all about that.
Wow.
And of course, Beck, you were at that event.
Yes.
So yes, she was the organiser of that. She works for Mask Events. But what she did previous to that is a very unusual profession, and we have never had one of those in the podcast studio before. So this is a first for us. So stay with us because this will be exciting.
This sounds really interesting.
The second thing is she also grew up quite uniquely. Yes. And ask her a bit about kind of the environment in which she grew up in.
Okay.
And then the third one is she's married, got 2 kids. She's been in a relationship for 12 years, and there was something very important that they did at the start of their relationship that has enabled their relationship to be really strong. Right. So stick with us if you want to find out the answers to this.
Yes.
So let's dig for some gold. So let's bring in Tomarra. Woo!
Welcome to the show, Tomarra.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So first of all, you organised Dara's 21st.
I did. I did. And it was
Can I just
amazing.
say that was the most phenomenal party I've ever been to. Wow.
So when you heard me talking about, that at 11 o'clock that morning, the marquee was underwater and we were all panicking, Tomarra was the one that springs into action. Don't worry, everything's going to be fine. We're going to sort all this out. Probably freaking out behind the scenes, but you got it sorted. And
I would imagine there'd be so much pressure on organising other people's parties, but you did it so seamlessly. Like that party just flowed beautifully. And yet, there's so much work behind the scenes.
So much going on behind the scenes. Just so grateful. Grateful for the opportunity. And look, all of those ideas were yours, Angela. Like that was, it all starts with an amazing idea and then it just grows out from there. So, thank you for having the vision and allowing me the opportunity to deliver it. It was exceptional.
Mask Events is your baby, right?
Yes. So I work alongside the team there, managed by Dom Fusker, who's our director. We've got an amazing team of incredible human beings, and we all get to collaborate and throw parties for a living. It's pretty awesome.
That sounds like the best job in the world.
Definitely.
They work about 7 days a week, don't you really?
Definitely. Being in events, it is quite a demanding industry, or different, weekend work, night work, all of those kind of things. But we have a culture built on, balance and trying to make sure that everyone, works hard when they needs to, but then also has that time to enjoy a balanced lifestyle. And I think that's really important.
You're great. So how did you get into this line of work?
So I actually moved up from Ballina in New South Wales over 3 years ago. Was looking to move up here to be a little bit closer to my family. I've got young children, wanted that family support. My sister was up here, who actually works at Mask Events also. She's one of our senior creative and floral queens. Yes. So I met with Dom that way and came onto the team in a bit of a rebuild project after COVID as the operations manager, and just got to start building again, bringing in all these amazing people, and look at us now. We're definitely getting a bit of a roll on. It's been a fantastic start to the 2024 season. Excited for the rest to come.
It certainly kicked the year off with a bang, didn't it?
I know, right? How great is that? What a showstopper to start 2024 with.
It's amazing. You must be a great delegator.
I am learning.
Yes.
I have definitely noticed myself over the last couple of years transitioning, from the worker into the leader or managerial roles, and a lot of growth for me personally in that. I love to work. I love to work hard, and I get to do it with some really cool people. So I don't even think you can call it a job because it's so much fun, Yeah.
That's great. And it sounds like you've got a great team under you as well.
I've got an amazing team, and I think that's the best part about it is that it's a collaborative space, like where we've got our internal team, and everybody has, there's half of us that are creative, the other half that are logistical. Director Dom, comes from an engineering background as well, but to give your teammates or just anybody the opportunity to be creative and to play in their own space and take their own interpretations from their clients' visions and, really work with that. And you've got your team bouncing, at your meetings and things like that. So
it's really hard work to get these events to the point where, let me start that again. So it's a lot of hard work goes into events. Do you actually get to enjoy the event?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I enjoyed your event. That was fantastic.
But what is the fulfillment for you at the end?
I think it's sharing those moments or witnessing the magic of human connection. So you work hard, you liaise with people, you're on the phone constantly. I think for those 2 weeks leading up to such a big event as well, my family didn't have a whole lot of time, or you don't eat properly because you're super excited, and same with your sleep at night. But then to watch it unfold on the day and the magic of those moments, seeing the guest experience, it is so rewarding. And then you sleep fantastically afterwards because it's all done. And
for a week.
Yeah, for a week.
You must sigh a big sigh of relief when it goes well.
Oh, absolutely.
Particularly if it's weddings or things like that, and if they're outdoors, because there's things you can't, guarantee, the weather, those sorts of things.
100%. Yeah. The contingency
with the
plans.
elements.
Yeah. Plans A, Bs and Cs.
Have you ever done a party as big as Angela's before?
Angela's was definitely a personal best for me.
Yes.
And I think, we do a lot of amazing events with a lot of different meanings behind them as well. Like we build communities and, foster relationships with people and create those magical moments. So, but to be able to do so many awesome things in one event was unreal. Yeah, you definitely have like one or two wow moments throughout each one, but it was just wow after wow. And
it really was.
Yeah, it really was. And I think you are incredible, and it was such a privilege to work with you and to share that journey as well. So I found that really rewarding.
Yeah.
And
Same goes.
Yeah.
I was very impressed.
She'd have to be one of your best clients.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. It was great. Yeah. And watching, Dara right at the end of the night there, just in his element on the drums and all of his specials around him. Just that energy exchange was incredible.
It was so special, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And so we basically went from a helicopter, marquee, casino, fire display. There
band,
was
dance floor.
Band, dance floor. Yeah. There was just so many elements to that party. It was mind-boggling how anyone can organise that. So I was just impressed with the whole organisation.
I have to say, the helicopter was not my idea. Yeah. That was actually Tomarra's idea.
Who said we wanted James Bond?
But it was brilliant.
Yes. Well, when Angela told me that she was doing a James Bond theme for Dara's birthday, I said, is he coming in on a helicopter? Because I thought, you got to have that.
You've either got to have a helicopter or an Aston Martin or some kind of wild card right off.
It was brilliant, wasn't it?
Yeah. But to watch it circling above you, and kind of coming down and doing it, in a residential area as well. You've got to make sure you've got all of your spacings and your areas and everything like that all in a line. But yeah, fantastic.
Well, it's such a privilege to meet the person who organised this party.
Thank you.
Well done.
It was definitely a team effort.
Very impressive. Very
Thank
impressive. And I recommend you to anyone out there who's looking for a party.
Love that. Yes, call Mask Events.
Absolutely. So if we go back to the next question there, or the next point that Angela said, so she was talking about you had an unusual upbringing, was that right?
I had an incredible upbringing,
Yes.
an amazing childhood, real grassroots.
Yeah.
My dad is an earthworks mover and literally carved a house pad site for us out of a mountain on the side of a cliff overlooking just this incredible ranges as far as the eye can see. So we're about 45, 50 minutes out of town.
Yeah.
Built into the range, we had a solar-powered house, rainwater tanks, everything like that. You could only have your TV running for certain amounts of the day while the generator was going, and everyone had jobs to do to make sure that the home worked operationally and everything like that. Yeah, it
that
was
explains
fantastic.
the event background.
Yes,
like navigating all
organisation.
aspects to make something. I can actually see how that plays into it.
Yeah. And is that in Queensland?
That's in Queensland, yes. So that's in Ravensbourne, which is about 50 minutes out of Toowoomba.
Right.
Right on the Esk Range. And we had a property there.
Do they still live there?
We don't live there anymore. It's actually now used as a holiday home. So there's quite a few little cabins and holiday homes around that area that they've now,
Is it self-sufficient?
Yes, 100%.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was all, and, it was a removal house that was brought in. Dad's built in all of the sheds. We had all the generators and the septics put in. It was, obviously what you remember from your childhood is obviously what was probably different to mum and dad at the time, but it was an amazing experience. And I think that everybody should have an opportunity just to enjoy. We were making cubby houses out of lantana. It's a weed, and everyone wants to get rid of it. It housed the best of cubby houses throughout the time, and not having all the screen time or the social media. Or we played in dirt. We rode motocross bikes. There was brumbies in the paddock behind us that I would go and follow all day because I was a little horse girl at heart. It was just a really special time. I watched my mum and dad work really, really hard, and I think that instilled a really strong work ethic. That's my biggest asset, I think, is my work ethic and just the ability to go, no worries, let's have a go.
Yeah, that would have been like a full-time job for your parents, would it?
100%, yep. And my dad being, earthworks, he would work huge days. If we wanted to see him, we would go and have lunch in a paddock while he was bulldozing something. It was great. So a lot of childhood memories with my brother and sister, and just earth living.
And you grew your own food, like your veggies and all that sort of stuff?
Vegetable gardens, and, there would be meats that they would harvest and store in freezers. And, to be self-sufficient, you'd only go do the groceries, once every couple of weeks or once a month. So you had all your deep freezers and had to make sure that the power was running to continue those kind of things.
That's amazing.
But the mechanics behind the scenes, I love living in my little city life at the moment and having access to power and water, but I think it's also imperative that our children, know how to monitor water levels and aren't wasting it, and, little things like that, turning power points off. It all kicks back to something greater.
Yeah.
So I know who I'm calling if ever there's a nuclear apocalypse.
Yep. That's right. We're going straight underground. That's perfect.
The know-how people. And do your parents still live in the self-sufficient home? Or?
Not anymore. They're both working in north of Brisbane and living there at the moment. We're actually looking to, over the next couple of years, hopefully get a bit of property together. I'll store their stuff and they can have a bit of free reign to go and do some travel and just enjoy this next chapter of their life.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
So tell me about the Brumbies and your love for horses.
Anything horses. I'm just a horse mad girl at heart. Nobody in my family was. It was just an interest that, I grew with. And there were some amazing wild horses that lived there was a national park that bordered the property, and it would just be hundreds of acres. And I remember just going across there as a girl and just with my little journal or drawing or writing and just watching them or trying to figure out which hoof prints, where they were going. So So that was just a beautiful initiation to it all.
Yeah.
I then was blessed with some amazing opportunities to actually go and work and live at equestrian centres.
Oh, wow.
So there was an equestrian centre not too far up the road, and I remember, you know, my mum getting me a horse riding lesson for my birthday or Christmas at the time, which was amazing. I did that a couple of times and actually went back and said, look, I'll volunteer if I can clean all of your stables or brush all of your horses, if I can just, you know, learn to ride or come here a bit more often. And
I mean, you do seem very enthusiastic to be shoveling horse poo. I'm very inspired by that.
Oh, thank you. I think you need to work out ways to get what you want and be creative with that. So
Brilliant.
a lot of the children that would come to the riding school, obviously, you know, their parents would pay for lessons. I would be the person that would be saddling the horse and bringing it out to them, and then at the end maybe hopping on for 5 minutes on a tired and grumpy horse before the next person would, because that was my little moment. So did that and had a beautiful mentor that actually, you know, allowed me to shadow her to, you know, some cattle ranches and some farms out in Kingaroy and some places. So I got a really good eye-opener as to, you know, the horses that would be at the back brood mares and having foals, and the ones that were in work, and the different lessons in that.
Yeah.
And a bit of exposure to some different disciplines as well. So there's so many different avenues that you can enjoy horses, and I was really lucky to have a mixture of all of those to work out.
Amazing.
Yeah.
It sounds like you have a really true love of horses.
I do. Yes, thank you.
How long did you work with horses for?
So I probably started this journey maybe 6 or 7 years old.
Yeah.
I'm now 33, so it's been most of that time, sometimes professionally.
Yeah.
So I was blessed with an opportunity to do endurance riding at a young age, and did that, you know, professionally from about 13 to 16.
Yeah.
That's like 80 kilometres in, you know, 4 hours,
Wow.
quite competitive.
Yeah.
And the stamina and literally the endurance to be able to do the journeys with you and your horse and over specific times, like that was fantastic.
What
That's
kind of terrain would that have been over?
over anything. So
Right.
sometimes it would be, you know, road surface, other times it would be grass or forestries, and then other times you'd be going up and down rocky terrains. Like it's just incredible.
I'm picturing the Man from Snowy River right now. That's one of my favourite movies.
Love that. Yeah.
I can hear the music in my head.
Yeah, so across all different terrains, and with, you know, sometimes it would just be you and your horse, and sometimes it would be you and your horse just for hours while you're riding, and then other times you'd have buddies that you'd kind of catch up with or meet along the way, and you'd help each other on, and
And it's competitive.
It is competitive, in saying that endurance, you know, to compete is to win. So when you're going over such, you know, big distances, and your horse has to come in, you know, at specific heart rates and fitness levels to be able to continue on the journey, there is definitely a competitive element to it, and some riders take it more seriously than others. The horses, you know, are predominantly Arabs, and they're worth, you know, good money over it to the UAE in the desert racing and things like that as well. So there's definitely incentives for some of the trainers to be quite competitive about it. And then there's others that are just hobbyists, and they've been, you know, doing it. They take their kids camping on the weekends, and it's a family affair, and it's it's beautiful. So I dabbled in a little bit of both.
Yeah.
I did compete for quite a few years, and that was fantastic, just as a lightweight, and did really well. And then I'm actually now gone back to endurance riding, and I just do that for the most beautiful couple, you know, an older couple, and it's just their hobby horse, and I get to go and ride in the forestry most weekends when I'm not at events.
Wow.
And that's my safe space.
Wow. Sounds like a beautiful experience.
So lucky, I think, yeah.
So were you ever a track jockey?
I also then transitioned into thoroughbred racing. For a few years. That was awesome. That was an eye-opener. There is nothing that will give you the same adrenaline kick along as galloping a horse at 80 kilometres an hour at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Wow.
In the dark.
In the dark.
Pitch black.
So, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So definitely some amazing highlights there as well. Some beautiful trainers that I've connected with, and you know, it's again, it can either be a really competitive industry or it can not be. Everybody's got their own take on it. Yeah. I didn't understand, I suppose, at the time the back end of the punting, or you know, those kind of things, which, you know, potentially I was just a horse mad girl that wanted to ride. So again, volunteered, went and cleaned stables for 12 months just so I could get an opportunity to get on a couple of the horses, and because as much as you know how to ride, it's a completely different style of riding,
Yeah.
as every discipline is, and you've got to adjust your riding technique to align with that. So, blessed to have had some good trainers that have come in and allowed me to ride some of the older, quieter horses that didn't necessarily take off every time you moved on them thinking it was a race.
Yeah.
And, then got into that competitively throughout my apprenticeship and enjoyed it around most of Queensland country towns.
Amazing. So you were saying before that you moved up from Ballina.
Yes.
Yes. So when did you move down to Ballina?
So moved down to Ballina early 2013, I think. Both my husband and I were riders, and there was a little bit more on offer down in the New South Wales circuit than what there was in Queensland.
So how did you meet your husband?
So we met at the racetrack.
Yes.
Chris is my husband, and he was a very good jockey in his day, and he'd been all around the world. He was a senior, I was an apprentice. He was helping me learn my techniques, and kind of goes on from there. Yeah.
Nice.
But we would travel together, and it was I think for the first couple of years of our relationship, it was just magic. We would ride horses, we would travel around, go to all these beautiful country towns and connect with these just amazing, humble souls too. I love the country trainers because this is their one horse that they've bred, and, it goes on all of these beautiful sentimental stories behind it as well.
Yeah.
And just have a bit of fun.
Yeah, wow. Sounds beautiful. And what's the thing that Angela said you cemented early in your marriage?
So Chris and I became best friends, and we were friends long before we became lovers. And I think that when you be friends with someone and you've got a space that you can be open and trust them with, that was a perfect foundation for everything that unraveled next. So Chris, being a senior jockey, very successful, had his fair share of injury, as we all do. In it is a tough game. During that, he had some prescription medication addiction issues, which he'd never shared with anybody. And here I was, this little happy-go-lucky girl that wants to save the world, and asking all these annoying questions, and we got to know each other. We got to know each other really well, and it became a safe space for him to share and to open up. And I think everything that comes together next was a reflection of you meet the right person at the right time, and the rest of it is history. So Chris was ready to move past some of his painkiller addictions that had just been from injuries that he'd sustained at racing, and easily able to be medicated, I suppose. And then you get trapped into a little bit of an interesting headspace coming out of that as well. Like, I'm not sure if anyone's seen any of the recent TV shows or the episodes about all the OxyContin and about dependencies on prescription medication, and
I've watched those documentaries.
Yeah.
And I find it fascinating because it could literally be anyone.
Anyone.
You pull your back or whatever, and they very readily put you on this medication. I think we call it endone here.
Yep.
And it was told that it was, non-addictive.
Yeah, super safe.
But and all the GPs were readily prescribing this, thinking it was safe. It gives you the longest amount of pain-free periods, and so. And then the research came out to say that it was actually quite the opposite, wasn't it?
Absolutely.
It's highly addictive.
Highly addictive. And to the point, if you've got some underlying issues as well, that they can become triggers, or that you get, trapped into this false circle going on in your head. I mean, he'll tell his story completely different as to how I will, but to watch it on the outside, Chris was ready for a change in his life, and he just needed someone in his corner to help him, show him the way. Yeah. So we were very blessed to connect with a rehabilitation centre over in Chiang Mai in Thailand, and that was where was best and most cost effective for us at the time. There's a lot of treatments I know available within Australia, and they can either be really high or low price. There's not too much in the middle. Whereas this is where the cabin came in, and it was good. It was a 6 to 8 week program where you're completely out of your normal world, and you're over there and you're working through everything. And he came back a different person. Yeah. I mean, it still had, the next 12 months over that. It still had its trials and tribulations, and, you have to be quite disciplined with your follow-up and also from a behind the scenes of whilst he was away, me understanding what could be triggers in the home or memories or people or all of those kind of things. I was pretty naive into the world. I'd come from such an amazing family unit. So yeah, I learnt a lot during this time as well about other people and communication and all of those little bits. And
so was there ever any moments in there for you thinking, oh, this is a hopeless journey, or there's no light at the end of the tunnel from this? And because you seem like a very supportive partner in that period, which is very, very difficult actually. I've had some experience helping with people with drug addictions, and I know that road is incredibly challenging and incredibly difficult, and there's lots of times where you're doing well and then you're not, and then you're doing well and when you're not. And so for the partner and the spouse to support someone through that, for someone to actually stay there, what was it that kept you there?
I don't know. I think it was, obviously I was head over heels in love with this man and wanted to be the light. But I think a lot of it comes down to you can't change anyone. That needs to come from them. Yeah. And when they're ready and they want that help, if they've got one person that's like cheering them on in the corner, it can change everything. Mm-hmm. And that's what it was. It definitely wasn't easy. And I had every single person looking out and saying to me, you're wasting your time and what are you doing? And, all of those kind of things. You'll figure out I love a good challenge. So tell me I can't do something and watch me. But at the same time, I also had my own career that was taking off and, a very intense support crew around me as well. So there was definitely challenges in that and definitely moments of of questioning and what am I doing and is it worth it? And I tell you what, I would do it all again if I got the same result. Yeah, as hard as what it was and the lessons that, we learned, and we did need to, move interstate and change a few things just to ensure that we had that continuation and moving forward. But yeah, to now look at the man that he is individually, the husband that he is, fantastic, and the father of my children, I am just so grateful, so proud.
Wow, that's amazing. It sounds like that treatment was really effective. And I guess they would have implemented things to replace the prescription drugs for pain relief and things. So is that something he was able to just continue implementing along the way?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's all, their program is incredible, and it's definitely, a bit of a wean off, and then you move forward. Again, sitting, because they're inside a treatment for that 6 to 8 weeks, it was actually really hard to be on the outside because we'd had, 6 months of intense time together and learning for him to go off. And I think the hardest part for me was then not having anything to do, you know what I mean? Like I'd been focusing on him so completely, or us so completely, to then have nothing. And you can't have contact for 6 weeks, or you can't actually, you'll maybe get one call a week or at a scheduled time. Yeah, so it was actually...
And you were in Thailand as well?
No, I was in... I was here in Australia. He went by himself. Okay. I literally, dropped him off at the airport, picked him up a couple of weeks later, but that was his journey. Yeah. And during the time, I spent a little bit of time discovering myself and who I want to be, and yeah.
And for him, I know this is obviously his story, so if you're able to share, but what was there's always something that you're aiming for. So he must have had he was visualising something beyond the pain that he had to go through in order to get free. What was the thing that he was looking forward to?
What we have now. Mm-hmm. What we have now, having that beautiful little family and having those kids and just having an awesome life. I think you see it on the outside looking in it, and again, everybody's family and upbringing is completely different and unique, but yeah, I think it was, I want to have a life, and I want to have an amazing wife and beautiful children one day and all of those wonderful things. He'd obviously celebrated a lot of successes through his career as well. There's definitely lots of highs and lows within racing. So he'd kind of completed all of his little bits there as well and was ready for that next chapter. And yeah, the stars aligned and here we are.
Oh, it's beautiful.
So Tomarra, how did motherhood change things for you?
Oh, look, motherhood is such an interesting journey. I was never planning to have kids. I was going to have horses. And then when you got to a point, you just, you know, no, it would have definitely hurt.
She jumped that hurdle, didn't she?
Sorry, back to the question.
No, that's perfect. 100%. Having kids. I mean, you think about these things as you're growing up, but it seemed much more appropriate to have horses than if they annoyed you, you sold them. Yeah. You know, it was easy. I then met Chris, fell in love. We'd been together for 5 years and had an amazing relationship, and decided it was time to have a child. Got a beautiful daughter, Amani, who's now 6, nice. And getting all those wonderful little motherhood feels. As she's, transitioning into school, and all these little proud academic moments as well, and just seeing her grow into that beautiful little girl that she is, little whirlwind. It's going to be fun later on.
Well, if she's got your energy, I bet you're never sat still.
Yes, she does. And then I've got a son, Evander, who is 4. Yeah. So I got my pigeon pair, hung up the boots straight after that. That'll do.
Pigeon pair, I like that.
little pigeon pair. Yeah, very, very lucky to get one of each. And it's just interesting watching the diversity between the two of them as well. Like, they've both got access to all the same toys and everything they want. But pregnancies, births, upbringings, they're both completely different, and it's really interesting to witness.
Yeah, it's amazing how you can have such different children from the same parents, isn't it?
Absolutely. So one of them's, up at 4, the other one sleeps all day. It's definitely.
And how does your work fit around family? Because I would imagine you working long hours, unsociable hours, time away from family. How does that work for you?
I have an amazing husband. I have an amazing husband who helps me balance. It's definitely interesting, and I think right at this moment it is a bit conflicting, because I had a couple of years off, with both the kids, did my raising, got them kind of transitioned into kindy, or as you go from there. But then you've got an opportunity to start picking back up your career, which as an individual I think is really important, because that was, something I hadn't done since racing. Or I spent a little bit of time working in real estate, and again surrounded by beautiful bosses that just allowed me the freedom to kind of come and go and pivot my roles and have maternity leave. So I've been really blessed with the right people around me for guidance. Now stepping back into a full-time career, and especially one that's so demanding and 7 days a week. I could not be doing it without my husband, who, he works early to pick them up in the afternoon. I do the school run in the morning so I can work later in the afternoon. Like, it's all about compromise. Yeah. I do get a little bit stressy before some of my big events, and
which I really don't blame you for.
I'm not surprised. You would either.
And I run a tight ship. We have a good routine in our house, and I suppose one of the best learnings that I had from living on horse farms is, my children operate at the same time. They like to know what time they're getting fed, or, a little bit of consistency with our routine. So we follow that quite well at home. Yeah. And I think that has a lot to do with it as well.
And that's also like security for the children as well, isn't it? They know what's coming up. They know when dinner is. They know when pickup is. And that's calming for children.
Absolutely. They know what's going on. And communication. Communication is key on everything. And I think just talking to them, and I've always spoken to my children, for the people that they are. I haven't, tiptoed around anything just because of their age, or I've told them exactly how it is. And I think, open communication like that is imperative, and they'll be really grateful from it later on.
So I can tell you're passionate about your family, you're passionate about horses, you're passionate about what you do. Do you have any other passions? What are some of the things you hope to still see happen in your life for the future?
As cliche as it sounds, I just want to take active steps daily to make the world a better place. I'm a huge believer in being the change that you want to see in the world, and it's all of those little things, a smile, to a stranger, or holding the door open. Our world at the moment is so disconnected, and the best part I love about my job is that I've got the opportunity to bring people together and to create memories and magic, and I think that's what fills my cup up as well. But I want to continue to pursue that in all different areas. I think my dream would be to create a village. and a village, like a big property where I can have all the horses that I want, and I can have little cabins where my parents or some of my elderly friends, you know, come and live, and I can care for them. They can have their gardens and their animals, and, you know, we're all far enough away, so we're not living on top of each other, but we've got a communal space there when we want to have a bonfire celebration, or, you know, if you need a neighbour to talk to. I watched a lot of my friends coming out of school, and a lot of the people that I was connected with, you know, go down different roads. And I think that if there was a place that anybody could come and to just be, if they could learn life skills, or they can do a day of fencing, or, you know, contribute into the property runnings as well, and just have a place to be. Yeah, that's something that I would really like to create and to have as an option for people to come and enjoy.
That is beautiful.
Isn't that?
I love that.
Can you see how that kind of combines how you grew up, your love of horses, your love of people, and your ability to be able to organise? You bring all that together. That's perfect.
That's perfect. That's the dream. So that's what I'm working really hard to do.
So beautiful.
Yeah.
So I think it's time for gold, Beck.
I think it is. And Tomarra, you've just got so much gold.
Thank you.
Your energy and love for life is actually bigger than your body.
I love it.
It's like they say big things come in little packages, and for you this is so true, because you have had this pattern since your childhood, and you would have been born with it because it's very much who you are, and you're full of life, you're full of love, you're full of joy, you're full of nothing is impossible attitude. And that has continued throughout your life. And even when hard things have come your way, you faced it with such a positive attitude, where you have asked to dig up poo.
Yeah.
Please let me clean that poo up for you. I mean, this is just the kind of person you are, with such enthusiasm too. I mean, that's brilliant. I think just looking at the way you've lived your life, it really is who you are. And I just see that everything that you do from here on in will continue to be the same. You have this love to make life better for people. You can see bigger than what people can see, and you're actually able to make that happen for people. And that I can see continuing on for the rest of your life. So
beautiful.
Thank you.
Done.
Thank you.
I so would agree with that. You pulled out, like, to me, Tomarra is just positivity all over. One of the things I loved about your story was that I know you're a high achiever and you reach to the top of everything that you do, but you're prepared to start at the bottom. And you know that actually to get to the top, you have to start at the bottom. And so I love that story about you cleaning out the stables. I'll go and muck out the stables for a year. But you knew one day you were going to be a jockey, you were going to be racing, but you were mucking out the stables. I think that's such a key to high achieving, is know that your starting point is somewhere, sometimes in the hardest places, the dirtiest places, the places that require the hardest work. But when you do that and you're diligent and you're positive about it, it's going to take you far. So, yeah.
And having that vision to see what the end goal is, and then just going for it.
Yeah.
I love that. You ladies are fantastic. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Oh, it's been such a pleasure having you on the show today. I've loved meeting you, and I've been very inspired by you.
Thank you.
And if anybody wants to plan an event of any kind, weddings, parties, whatever, call Tomarra from Mask Events.
Thank you.
So that's it for today's podcast. You'll find us on all the major podcast platforms. The podcasts come out every Wednesday. We'd love to hear from you on our socials, the Gold Diggers Podcast. Tell us about your story so we can find the gold in you.
Easy as pie, lemon, apple or cherry. Loving you is so very sweet, sweet, sweet. How can it be such a piece of cake? And your smile is the icing. Loving you is a poem. Honey, you're my sugar.